Hello, I'm Linus Wilson, and we're going to talk about the plot leaks of Before a Fall, Season 1, Episode 7 for The Witcher Netflix. Subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next video. We're doing tips and tricks videos for The Witcher games and covering the news of The Witcher Netflix series, among other things. All right, so the name of this episode is Before a Fall. I think it's actually going to cover two short stories within Sapkowski, although maybe not give them full weight. One is Sword of Destiny, and the other one is Shard of Ice. So uh, I think we're seeing some pictures that are going to be uh, brought forward in the season. So I think we're going to see what we're seeing next to us from the trailers and the teasers and the character featurettes is some things that may develop earlier in the season, but they include the characters of in particular like Istredd and the theme of Ciri being wooed by young kings, so or young princes. So the first one I'll talk about is Sword of Destiny. So Sword of Destiny is where Ciri meets with Eithne and the who's the queen of the dryads. So Ciri is fleeing Cintra, and she's fleeing Cintra for reasons different than the fall of Cintra. She's fleeing it because she does not want to get married to this boy uh, who's not more than 15. It's called King Venzlav. Uh, let's see, I don't have the name of the boy right in front of me. I think Prince Kristen of King Eril of Verdun, right? So Calenti wants to have a marriage alliance, and Ciri's not having anything of it. And the young Ciri, who in the books is probably about 10 versus about 16 for the actress Freya Allen when these things were filmed, although maybe she plays a 13-year-old, that Ciri is kind of a willful child in the same way that Pavetta was having nothing of the marriage alliance that Calenti had organized for her, which we'll see in episode 4. So in this case, because of the way they're setting up the season, the fall of Cintra is going to happen on the first episode, and we're going to see Ciri running from Cahir, the winged knight of Nilfguard, for most of the season. There's a good chance that when we see Ciri in the Brokilon forest, it'll be after the fall of Cintra, or it'll be a flashback. If it's a flashback, then uh, then it's likely that Geralt will meet her in Brokilon. But if it's not a flashback, if it is actually on Ciri's timeline, which starts with the fall of Cintra, then it won't make any sense for her to meet Geralt there. And we've not seen any pictures of her and Geralt in Brokilon, even though that's the way that the Sapkowski short story goes. And the Brokilon storyline is quite good in that it has Ciri meet Geralt before she actually kind of becomes his ward, right? So Ciri is the child surprise of Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher, and we saw that in episode 4 when he did the child surprise pledge with Dune in Banquets, Bastards, and Burials in Geralt's timeline. So Geralt's timeline is farther back in history typically than Ciri's timeline, and so you'll see events that happen before Ciri's birth, and they'll happen after the things that Geralt uh, is doing. So If this is a flashback when Ciri is younger, before the fall of Cintra, then there's a good chance we will see Geralt. But if it is supposedly part of her running from Cahir and then she gets wrapped up and caught by the dryads of Brokilon, then maybe we won't see her and we won't see Geralt in there. But Geralt was sent to Brokilon on a mission of peace, as an emissary for this King Venzlav. Then he stumbles upon Ciri and this other guy named Freixnet, and they get put into. They get escorted by Braenn, a dryad, to Duen Canell, and Ciri and Geralt meet there. The dryads, led by Queen Eithne, want to make Ciri into a dryad, and they do give her the waters of Brokilon, which up until the time of Ciri always made young girls into dryads, but didn't work on Ciri because she's a source and she has uber magical powers that keep her from that. But maybe that sets off some visions that we see in the Ciri featurette, for example. All right, so I'm not a. I would like to see Geralt and Ciri and Brokilon. I think we might not because of the changed timeline and their attempts to have kind of a coherent timeline for each one of the characters, even if those timelines don't intersect until the very end. Okay, the other short story is called Shard of Ice, and I think we're going to see Shard of Ice probably in episode 7, but obviously portions of the story we'll probably see earlier. So one of the things we saw in the trailer, or not the official tease from Comic-Con San Diego in July 2019, was you see these pictures of You Can't Outrun Destiny and the stuff about like the elves were the first mages where they show the dryads, is that that was voiced by Istredd, which I think the actor is Royce Pearson, and the Istredd is Yennefer's lover before Geralt, right? So before Geralt had the genie cast a spell on her in episode 5, there's Istredd. In episode 6, Geralt and Yennefer are hunting dragons, but they have some tension. Yennefer wants to have nothing to do with Geralt, and in the books, when in the Bounds of Reason short story, Geralt was away from Yennefer for a long time. He'd gone on the path and not really been too emotionally or physically available for her, and she'd had it with him. But when he heard about her hunting the dragon, he wanted to join the dragon hunt to rekindle their relationship, essentially. And I think that's going to be successful. But we're going to see in episode 7 that there's other forces pulling their relationship apart. And I think that it makes sense for them to pull their relationship apart in episode 7 so they can put it back together in episode 8. And the easiest way to do that is in the Shard of Ice short story, which has Geralt in the sewer of Givenel, and he fights a Zoogle. Zoogle is like an octopus type monster, but it's got like 30 arms instead of 8. It's just really big and nasty. There's one in Witcher 1, I think in like chapter 5 of Witcher 1, so you have to be almost all the way done. It was a long fight. It was not a hard fight, but took a long time to refresh our Igni spells to get their. We had a enhanced stamina. My Geralt did, and it just took forever. There's a lot of hit points for that Zoogle. But anyways, he hunts the Zoogle. He doesn't get paid for the Zoogle. The alderman stiffs him, and then the mercenaries working for the alderman are giving Geralt all kinds of trouble. And then he finds out Yennefer is cheating on him while he's in that town. She's cheating on him with this guy Istredd, who says he's going to marry Yennefer. And so, I think we're going to meet Istredd very early in the season when we're going through all the Aretuza stuff. He's the first person that takes an interest, or first guy who takes an interest in Yennefer. So they have kind of a really long relationship. And so you see here with him as a hunchback, and you see them consummating their relationship too in the official trailer, I believe, or the final trailer. And you see that next to me. But anyways, Istredd and Geralt decide to duel, and the way that Yennefer keeps them from killing each other is she says she doesn't want to have anything to do with either one of them, and she sends birds to them. I don't know if they're swallows. I can't remember. The little black birds to them that send the same note that she doesn't want to have anything to do with them. And Istredd, after he got the note, he's like, I'm not going to fight with magic. Istredd's a pretty good mage. He's like, I will only fight with swords, which is basically suicide against Geralt. And Geralt says, no, we're not going to fight. And then they walk away, and neither one of them has Yennefer. And that, I think, is going to set up for Yennefer and Geralt to get back together in episode 8, which is going to be obviously based on the short story Something More, because episode 8 is called Much More, the last lines of that short story. And so I think that we'll see that resolution in episode 8. It's better to leave that tension to the end. And so that's all I have for this one. We're going to do an episode 8 plot leaks. Surprise about Something More. And that'll finish our 8th episode of plot leaks. And that you should subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a big party on the 19th, getting you geared up and ready and excited for the Witcher Netflix series, which is dropping early on the 20th. So subscribe to the Linus Wilson channel for the latest news about The Witcher and other fantasy TV, plus tips and tricks for The Witcher games. I'm Linus Wilson. Good luck on the path.